History Exam, Part 2. Concepts. The Divine Right of Kings. A political and religious doctrine of legitimacy. The king is only subservient to God. Allows the king to ignore the will and desires of his own people. Absolutism. Form of government in which a single ruler exerts ultimate authority. The king has unrestrained and unrestricted power. Humanism. Attitude that emphasizes the dignity and worth of the individual. By becoming your best self, you are celebrating God. Urged man to ask questions and become more active citizens. Iconoclasm. The destruction of images for religious or political motives. Secularism. Put forth by Pierre Bailly, belief that religion should have no part in political institutions. There was no connection between the government and religion. Perfectibility. Progress could be achieved by applying human reason to man's problems. Provided the root of liberal thought. Prussianism. Establishing a new way of life for his people, brought them safety and stability. Application of militaristic values of order and discipline to the civil government. Deism. Belief in God based on reason. God was the clockmaker, but he did not interfere in human affairs. Inspired the Enlightenment, and as such the American and French revolutions. Feudalism. System based on the mutual benefit gained through large-scale land ownership. Serfs rented the land in exchange for money and received security and protection. Gave them organization in a time of instability, and all their needs are met. Identify and state. Absolutism. Catherine de' Medici hated the Huguenots, organized the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre. The royal guards were given a hit list of the prominent Huguenots to kill. It took place openly on the streets, and a frenzied excitement grew. The Edict of Nantes, passed by Henri of Navarre, gave right to the Huguenots, no peace without tolerance. Henri became Bon Roi Henri. Henry of Navarre was willed the throne by Henry III, brought religious peace and lowered the taxes. Paris is worth the mass. Cardinal Richelieu, the first prime minister, the father of French absolutism, forbid the nobles from collecting taxes and built a secret spy agency in order to protect the king. Louis XIII had to retake power by way of his own royal guards, aka the Three Musketeers. Ensured the French king would have the most strict absolute rule. Fronde or slingshot, a series of civil wars between the noble and crown. The nobles could not unite and were divided, and that led to their failure. War of the Roses, a series of dynastic wars fought over the English throne, the Lancasters versus the Yorks. Act of Supremacy, made the British monarch the head of the Church of England. Led to 80 years of religious division, and exploration and discovery was not a priority for many years. Act of Uniformity, declares the Anglican Church to be the state church. Elizabeth did much to placate the Catholics and ended the religion conflict. Gunpowder Plot, a failed assassination plot by a group of Catholics, instigated raging violence against all Catholics. Scientific Revolution, Galileo, the father of experimental science, wanted to prove the heliocentric universe. Was a humanist, built a telescope to study the heavenly systems. Concluded that bodies in motion would keep moving until some resistance was introduced, laws of terrestrial motion. Was condemned by the Catholic Church for heresy. His view was one that contradicted the Bible. French Revolution, the tennis court oath. Vowed to maintain a sit-in until Louis agrees to recognize them as the people's representatives. Sign of solidarity to the cause and their defiance to the king. Fall of the Bastille. The mob attacks and tears down the Bastille. Is an attack and an old-time symbol of injustice, and the people realize their strength. Valmy. The French people's victory over Prussia became the rallying point and gave a sense of nationalism. Came to believe their cause was just and destined. The September Massacres. An organized mob wages civil war on the enemies of the revolution. Men, women, and children are butchered in the street. The world is horrified, and the European powers rally against them. The Brunswick Manifesto. Reign of Terror. Mass public executions within 10 months in the name of national defense. Fought for control over the direction of the cause, elimination of political opponents, and stemmed internal revolt and inspired French victories. It ended with Robespierre's execution. The Directory. Power in hands of a select few, and France is still not happy. They threaten insurrection when the artillery assembles between crowd and Directory, and in comes Napoleon Bonaparte. Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen. The death certificate of the Ancien regime was assigned to Louis XVI, that the people have reached the point of no return, brought them equality, fair tax, and freedoms. Constitution of 1791, the first revolutionary constitution, established a constitutional monarch, goal of National Assembly. The Legislative Assembly consisted of active citizens who are 25 plus years, male, and paid 3 days' wages and taxes. At this point, the revolution should be over. Constitution of 1792, the second revolutionary constitution. France becomes a republic. The result was a political overhaul. Citoyen and Ney. Louis XVI is put on trial and executed. Georges Danton, the leader of the birth of the French Republic, a Girondin, responsible for Louis XVI's death. Words did much to rally the foreign powers against France. Jean-Paul Marat had a revolutionary newspaper. Beliefs in newspaper led to the start of the September massacres. L'Ami du Peuple, a Girondin. Maximilien Robespierre, Republic of Virtue, stab at perfectibility. Idyllic quest for the perfect secular democracy and was willing to kill for it. A man unfit for revolutionary, a Jacobin, responsible for the Reign of Terror.